Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you how to make this burlap wreath. You should have 3 rolls of burlap ribbon, your centerpiece, and we sent 2 sets of 3 different sizes of ribbon in coordinating colors to whatever centerpiece you chose. So this is the video for the kit that you can purchase through My Home Matters, through our website, which is shopmyhomematters.com. And if you follow our social media, that is most likely how you are here watching this video. So I'm just gonna get rid of all this packaging, cut out all these little tags, and most likely you will need the better part of all 3. So I'm going to actually go through the whole thing rather than try to speed it all up and piece together the video because I'm having so many video troubles. I think this might be the better way to go. So we'll put this aside for the time being. It's actually very simple. The hardest part is just going to be making sure that you can see what I'm doing. So that's why I have the camera up here, hoping that looking down on what I'm doing might be the easiest. All right, so I'm gonna put those 2 rolls aside, move my ribbon. So you also have some wire ties and some floral wire. So we're gonna take one of the wire ties to start with. And let's make sure first that I can show you what I'm gonna do here. Okay, so I'm gonna try to aim for one of these dividers to get started. And we're gonna be working on these inner 2 wires. The first one is not going to be that big of a deal. It's pretty easy to do what we need to do. It's gonna be a little bit harder to work on the second one because there will be a bunch of burlap ruffled up on this second inner wire, secondmost wire. So we need to, what we're aiming to do is basically we're folding this burlap in half in a way, and we're aiming to wrap it around that second innermost circle. And basically, that's what we're aiming to do the whole way around. So first, though, to attach it, I'm just gonna fold it in half and get the end. I'm gonna fold it in half and wrap that little end piece around one side of this divider and kind of just pull it up tight. Actually, you know what? Probably what's going to be easier is if you just fold it up and fold it again. It's probably going to be easier to do this so that we can still fold it down the road, but I think the easiest would be just fold it in half, then fold it in half again, just to be able to pinch it at the end, and then sort of wrap it around the wire there. You just need to be able to get one of these around the burlap to secure it to this one divider here. So it's basically whatever you need to do. See, I'm gonna put this in behind. I'm gonna try to make sure that this burlap, just this little piece of burlap here, gets attached to this divider the best way that I can. Because after that, it's a matter of just wrapping it in around that inner wire. So you can either kind of make it go through the burlap to catch it, or I'm gonna try to make mine go around it. But sometimes it's easier just to make it go through. If it's easier that way, just actually make it go through part of the burlap, but make sure that it catches both, as much of the burlap as you can. It's hard to show with 2 hands being used at the same time. So see, basically I just kind of pinched it, went through there, both parts of it. And then, so that it doesn't slide around, I'm gonna make sure this end of the wire is on one side of the divider, and the first end, the end with the thing on it, is on the other. So that when I wrap it around and I slide the end through the zip tie and make it tight, now this can't slide anywhere. So I made the zip tie start on one side of the divider and come up through on the other while catching the burlap at the same time. Honestly, this might be like the hardest part of the whole thing. So it's just to give it a starting place so that you have it secure. Then on that second wire, second circle from the inside, I'm going to act like I'm folding this burlap in half around that circle. So if you can see, if I were to open it up, that's what it looks like. But I have it coming up around this second wire. So I'm just kind of pulling it through and pulling it up even like that. And then here's where it makes the ruffles. And then you just push, slide. You kind of smush it over to the side. And then you make sure you pull a little bit more up, make it even, and push. And that's pretty much all we're gonna do the whole way around. Pull it up even, push. Now, how much you do, like how tight you make it, is up to you. You can, I'm gonna keep going. So that was three smushes, right? I went 1, 2, 3. Maybe I did 2. So I pulled it up and I went 1, 2. So here's 3. I'll tell you about how many I'm doing. Pulling it up, so you kind of have to keep pulling this even. There's 4. Pull it up even again. There's 5. So you can keep it looser if you want. Or let's do one more. I'm gonna do 6. Pull it up even. And you don't really have to smush it this time because that's about all I'm gonna be able to get in that one section. So then you're just gonna work around this divider. So you're just gonna slide one end up through the middle section and one end up through the first section so that you're still wrapping around that second circle, second innermost circle. And then I'm gonna pull it up. So basically you're just working around that divider. So I'm gonna smush it over 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4, 5, and I think I did 6, right? So 6 is the one I don't have to push. So that's about how tight yours is gonna be. So if you can tell on the back, these are all wrapped around this second, from the inside, this second wire. They're all coming up through that. So that's what I'm gonna do the whole way around. I just have to keep working around those dividers. So one edge comes up around one side. Whoops, it's the wrong one. I wanna make sure I'm around that second ring from the inside. So I pull it up, make it even, and smush. That's 1. Just have to keep fooling with it so that you can keep it even. 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of helps to know how many you're doing on each one. And 6. Just be careful. Sometimes they can get hooked onto these, like some of the threads can get hooked on, so just gently pull them through. So that's number 6. Okay, then we're gonna go around this one and so on. Whoops. 1 through there. And 1 one through there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Helps if you keep rolling out your burlap. Well, that's a little bit more than halfway, I think. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, so I'm pulling it up around that second, basically around that second ring. That's 1, 2, 3, pull and smush, 4, pull, 5, and 6. Okay, and then we can poof it up. So we're almost around this whole first ring. Okay, so up, pull it through. So we're getting to the end of this first circle. So I'm just gonna try to keep it even. I mean, it's not gonna be perfectly flat on the back, but as I pull up, I'm just trying to keep the edges even with each other. Push, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm working a little bit around that piece that I have started in the back. 5, pull, 6. Now, at this point, you can kind of evaluate. So that's half of the thickness that you're gonna see. So you can kind of decide, do you want one more in there to maybe fill that gap a little bit, but I think I'm gonna leave it, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it as is. Now, I do have a little bit of extra for me, but I think I'm just going to twist that part around, that little bit of extra, twist it around a couple times, and then I can let go of the front. Just don't pull back on it. Keep that front, leave it alone, but just twist the back just to kind of hold it in place. And then same thing. I'm just gonna use one of these zip ties. I'm gonna get behind one of these dividers so that the zip tie starts on one side of the divider. And I don't know if you can see that. So I'm gonna put it in on one side of the divider and then grab a hold of the burlap where I twisted it and put it through and tighten it up as much as I can. That way it's secure there. And then I'll just trim this off a little bit. I'll leave a little bit of a tail there so that we're not working with it. But all I'm basically doing is just attaching that to one of the dividers. And if it doesn't really matter if you don't get the zip tie totally on around the divider. It's not that big of a deal. It might just slide a little bit, but once you have it all on there, it's kind of gonna hold it in place on its own. Now I'm gonna move on to the next piece. So being that I have this here, I think to avoid having it all in the same place, let's maybe move to the other side. And you might notice that some of it is kind of slipping through a little bit, so you can just do a little tug on it just to make sure that it's pulled up tight from the back. Okay, and anywhere you see, mainly it looks looser where the dividers are. So you might have like a bigger poof where the dividers are. That's normal. So find a divider maybe on the opposite side of where you first started the other one. And now we're gonna do the same thing, only we need to do all of this on the second from the outermost ring. So we need to attach it first. So what I did, again, I'm gonna fold it over twice just so I have something to get the wire tie or the zip tie attached to. I want to get it tucked up in here somewhere, anywhere, just so that I can grab a hold of it with the wire tie or the zip tie. So I'm going through the burlap just to get that secured. And then I want to make sure that the zip tie goes around this divider so that it's actually secured to that. And tie it as tight as you can. And then we'll just kind of push those to the back. We can cut them off later. But now at least you have a little end attached here, but everything else is the same. We're going to try to make it so that we can form this in half, this burlap in half, and just keep smushing. But this time we're having to work around this first layer. So I want to kind of hold that back so I can show you. Now we're trying to work this up around this second from the outside ring. So I want to get one layer or one edge started on this side of the ring, and then this edge will come up in between the two outer rings. So we're layering around that second from the outer circle. That way this outer circle is kind of there to protect this from just flopping out to nothing. So now that you have it kind of wedged in there around that second ring in, we're gonna do the same thing. Squish once, pull it up through even as much as you can. It's a little harder now. 2, 3, let's see how many. We might need 7 now because it's a bigger ring. But you're gonna have to keep working with it to get it to be even too. Pull it up as evenly as you can. 4, 5. Let's see what 6 looks like. This part is much harder, not much, but you just have to work with it a little bit more to try to keep the sense of the two edges together. Okay, so do I want one more? I think 6 might still be good enough. Not that much bigger. So then again, work around the divider, work your way into wedging that edge up, right up against the other side of the burlap, the other section that we did. And then this edge comes in between the last 2 rings. So I'm kind of lining it up the whole way down that section as best I can. Just trying to line these 2 edges up as best I can to get started. And then I'll go 1, 2, then I got to line up again a little more. Pull that edge through. Keep them going the right direction. Pull up, 3, 4. My ribbon just keeps wanting to turn, so I just have to keep turning it so that the edges are going to be coming upward. And it's not always going to be perfectly matched. 5. I have more luck if I can roll mine out better. And 6. Try to pull up a 6th one there. Yeah. So that makes it much tighter now that they're butt up against each other and much fuller. You can tell that it's filling in. So again, we're going to go around the divider. We've got to get that edge in here against the other edge from the first ring. And then this one in between the outer 2 rings. So I'll line those all up as far as I can and then start squishing. There's 1, 2, 3. Pull a little more through. What am I catching on? 4, 5, and there's kind of a 6th one. You can always go back and full width this again when you're all done. All right, next section. I hope you can see this well enough. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, what I do is then once I squish it tight, then I kind of go through and loosen it a little bit this way. Next section. Okay, 1, getting tight, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At this point, I noticed that I usually have burlap all over me. Sorry. Okay, next section. 2 more sections, I think. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 more there. Okay, we'll see if 2 rolls is going to do it. If you find that you're doing more than 6 little scrunches, yours are tighter, you just may have to add some zip ties along the way just to kind of secure it. So if you run out halfway through, just secure it again like we secure the beginning and the end, anywhere along the way, preferably as close to a divider as you can. But if you can't even secure it to a divider, just secure it to a ring somewhere. And then when you squish, it's going to push it in and hold it in place. So it doesn't even have to be to a divider. Okay, 1, but I think I might be able to get away with 2. 2 rolls anyway. 3, 4, 5. By George, I do think I got away with 2. Sometimes it takes me 3, sometimes it takes me 2, but I never really counted out how many squishes I do. So now that I know, that kind of helps. So you could do more squishes if you wanted, or less, if you wanted it even looser looking. But that brings me back to where I started, this outer ring. So again, I'm gonna grab a zip tie. We tried to give you plenty of extra zip ties. You know what? I'm gonna pull just a little bit more through on this one, just since it's the end, just to make sure there's a little bit, there's no gap showing. And then, again, I'll just gently take this excess and twist it a couple times. I don't want to pull it back through because I want to keep this here. So I don't want to pull on this. Just twist it a little bit while you hold the part you pulled through. Twist it once or twice around. Find yourself a divider if you can to get it started around. And then wrap it around the part you twisted. And pull it as tight as you can so that it doesn't go anywhere. So now you have this little tail. That's what it looks like on the back. And then I'll cut some excess. I'm gonna leave a little bit And then I'll just twist this excess and I'll cross it down into the, actually if I'd have planned it out better, I would have made it so that I could reach this divider here, but I'm not gonna be able to reach that because I cut off too much. But I think I'll just wrap this around the inner ring, this zip tie. I think I'll just get it started around the inner ring. I'm not grabbing any burlap or anything, I'm just right here around the ring. And then I might just put it through some of this burlap just to hold it. And that's just because there's some fraying and stuff. I could have left more or less. And then we'll just go back and cut those off. Just be careful with the zip ties because when you cut them off, they're real sharp there. So be careful. We'll cut this one off. Okay. And then there's one sticking out in here. So we'll go in and cut that one out as carefully. I should probably have cut it off as I went. Then I wouldn't have to worry about cutting my burlap. But there's your form. That's what you have to work with. And then if you want, you could go back to this as well and tie it on a little bit better. You could even just tuck it in if that's just a short little piece. Anything like that. But there you have the actual ruffle part. So whether it's red or neutral or whatever color you might choose to do. Now we have the centerpiece to work on. So before we do the centerpiece, let me show you how I make my messy bow to make an easy bow. So what we do is we cut, I like to do it with 3 layers, 3 coordinating layers. So I cut these 3 layers. I take, well, I'll cut them at the end. I take 2 sets of these. So there's one set layered over top of each other. And then here's another set. And then I kind of lay one over the other. And then I very carefully, sort of like an accordion, pinch them together like this. And then I take a wire tie. Now, I'm gonna wrap this around here, but don't pull it totally tight yet. We're gonna get it started. You wanna pull it almost tight, but not fully. So I'm gonna keep my fingers there to keep it pinched, but I'm not pulling that totally tight. Not quite yet. Now I'll take one of my pieces of floral wire, and in the back of the ribbon, I'm gonna insert that behind this zip tie. If I pull it too tight, I can't get the floral wire in. So then I'm just gonna try to make it even so that the ends of the wire match up. It's hard to see the wire, but we want them to match up out here. And then I'll twist that a little bit. I'll just give it a couple twists. Then I'll pull the zip tie. I want the zip tie, the square thingy, I want that to be to the back of the ribbon if possible. And I'll pull that real tight. And so now I have these 2 layers of 3 ribbons. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take the ends of each and fold them in half and cut a little V shape in them. So your V is gonna go from the fold out to the edge, and that will make a V. So I'll do that on each one. I want each layer to just be a little bit shorter than the underneath layer. So fold it in half and go from, you wanna be angled from the edge down to the fold, or from the fold up to the edge, so that you have a V. And then same thing. Or you could just cut a V if you don't want to fold it. You know what, I'm going to grab my fabric scissors because they're better. They cut a little bit better. And that's what I'm going to do on all of these ribbons. On each end. So once you do that, let's say I've done all the edges. So I have V's on all the edges. Then I'm just kind of taking this top layer and angling it. So I'm gonna make this top layer that has a base of pink. I'm gonna kind of form an X. I guess that's the best way to explain it. So you have an X the top layer is gonna crisscross with the bottom layer by just tugging at a little bit and tugging all 3 layers so that it, when you bend it, you kind of form these bends with the wire and the ribbon to form what we call a messy bow. Now, if you did not choose to get a centerpiece, we gave you another set of 3. We gave you a third set that you would do exactly the same thing with, and you would just twist it and make it even, you know, a 3-layered X, I guess. So you'd have a little bit more bigger bow to make a bigger statement, I guess is what you would say. That's just an easy way to make what we call a messy bow. And that way, when you put it on there, it just kind of, I don't know what you can say, it hangs rather than having loops. They kind of just are wispier. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these other sides down into these. Easy to go the wrong way. You have to think about it before you cut. Edge down to fold. Cut edge, fold it in half, and then go from the edge down to the fold. So now this ribbon, I need to get this centerpiece. So whatever centerpiece, now the ones that were red background, they are solid, and these have this slatted part to it, but we drilled a couple of holes here for you. So the red ones already had holes, and we drilled these for you. So the next step is going to be attaching this to the background. So you kind of want to maybe stand up and line it up in the center of your wreath. Then you're going to take this that you twisted around the back. Let's get rid of this extra piece here. And we're going to thread the wire, the 2 pieces of wire, through this hole all the way through. And then, now the other thing you might want to do is rotate your wreath to where you think you want the bow. If you have a spot that looks a little thinner, like right here, I feel like that looks a little thinner than the rest. Maybe that's where I want my bow to cover. So I'll just kind of plan it this way. Then I'm gonna take these 2, they should be pretty long. I'm gonna take these 2 pieces of wire and wrap them either all the way around your burlap if you have enough, but then you're just gonna wanna kind of hide it between the ruffles. But if you still see that, you could wrap it around on the inside, but then you could thread it through the wire wreath form so that it's a little more hidden over here. And then you can squish this together a little bit to hide it. Then I'm gonna flip it over and just twist this around for now. I don't wanna do anything too much, a couple twists just to hold it in place, because you'll be able to see, is it too low? Do I need to move it up higher? Is it too tight? Is it pressing in too hard? So you can loosen it up as you go. And then we'll fool with this bow also whenever we have the other side on. So now we're gonna take the other piece of wire. This time I'm only gonna thread one end through. And then that end will go on the inside of the wreath all the way around to the back, because you're not gonna see it. Let's just make sure we have it approximately where we want it. And then again, you can wrap this side all the way around the outside, or you can sort of find a gap in here and thread it through down between the wires so that you don't see it as much. It's easier said than done. Even if you can get it in one ring closer, it's not quite as obvious that you're wrapping it around. Then kind of pull that together. But then same thing on the back, just gonna twist it together and then come back on the front. We have it lightly twisted on the back, just so that we can kind of see, is it centered? I think I could make mine a little bit tighter. Twist mine a little bit tighter so that it's up a little higher. I'm going to twist it a little bit closer to the the back of the wreath form actually. But once I'm satisfied with where I want it, once I've twisted it and I'm happy with where it's located on the front of the wreath, then, let's see if I can push this up a little bit. Then I'm going to try to make it a little bit more permanent. It's still not going to be permanent, but then once it's twisted around itself on the back here, once it's just twisted like this, then I'll go and I'll wrap it around the actual wreath form a couple more times and make sure that it's, you know, not going anywhere. But this is how you can change it out. So if you have another piece, you may need to put some holes in it, get somebody to drill some holes if you can drill them yourself. But then all you have to do is unwire, untwist the wires, and then thread some wires in a new centerpiece, and you can change it out for the different seasons. So you can find a lot of these centerpieces, like sometimes you'll find them in the dollar bins at Target. Sometimes you can find little signs like this in the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, all the different dollar stores. You can find some of these, and you just want them to be such that you can add a wire and take it back off again if you want. So that's pretty much it. And then you can fool with this bow as much as you want, but it's kind of neat to just sort of have a messy bow. Nothing that is super formal or anything. And then you can let it hang on your door, and you can adjust it if you need to, up or down, but that's pretty much it. And if you also, you could even tuck it in a little bit. If it bothers you that it's, you know, on the outside, you could try to tuck it in a little bit. The ones that are solid are a little easier to do that with. These that have the slats make that a little bit harder, so it'll hang more on the front of it. But I hope that helps, and I hope if you have any questions, you'll let me know. But again, you can buy the kit at My Home Matters. It's shopmyhomematters.com on the internet, and then you can also go to our Facebook page and message us if you're looking for a kit. So thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. Enjoy.